Hi, this is my Skywalker 1900 from Hobby King. This plane has got more than 100 hours of flying and never crash. And a lot of people ask me about the settings of this plane. And this video is gonna show my setup of this plane. The motor of this plane, it's a Carnegie, as you can see. It's a D3536-8, 1000 kVs. It's a Carnegie from Hobby King. I buy it from Hobby King. The propeller, it's an APC. It's a 7.5. It's 7.5 because I need some extra power to push the plane, because the plane fully loaded is around 3 kilos. So I need it for the takeoff, that extra power. The consumption of the motor in the maximum power is around 30 milliamps, but only when I make the takeoff, because when I fly normally in the cruise control and the cruise altitude, probably it's around 10, 9 or 8, so milliamps, of course. So it's a very good motor. Inside of the plane, I've got my board with autopilot and everything, as you can see here. It's an arc board. Actually, it's a very nice board. It works perfectly. Never crash. This board never crash. And is in the upper level of the plane. The plane is got 2 levels. This one and this one here. And I put my batteries inside. This board don't need ventilation or air, or the board don't like it the direct wind, so keep it in a place where there is no wind at all. So the temperature of the board is not higher. So I flew with a lot of weather conditions, very cold, very warm. I flew with I don't know, 35, 36 degrees, and never have a problem with that. So keep it in the place where there is no wind at all. The Arcboard board, it's a very good board, but you have to be careful. If you crash your plane with this board inside, and then you put the board in another plane or in the same plane, you have to be careful with that, because the sensors inside of the board could be affected by the crash, and then give you, for example, wrong direction, wrong altitude, wrong speed. So I know in some cases after a crash, and some people change the board for other plane, and they have a lot of problems with that, because the sensors inside, they are affected by the crash. So you have to be careful with that. If you do a very rough landing and the next fly, you have to check everything again, okay? My speed controller, it's a Carnegie, it's a Trust, 17 milliamps. And I've got an external back right there inside. As you can see, this is inside of the plane. It's got some scratches here from the landings in the rough terrain. So Everything in the head of this plane is homemade, starting with the base of this. It's made of wood and everything. So as you can see, inside I've got 3 connectors XT, as you can see. Inside, you cannot see, I've got an FR Sky from the radio, 2.4 gigahertz. As you can see, this is very important. It's very important. Keep it this way, okay? In the line of the plane and your receiver, it's quite important. It's a direct line to your command. This here, it's the GPS I put in here. It's the GPS from the board. As you can see in this plane, we've got a lot of space inside. It's capable to have 3 5000 batteries, 3S. When I made this plane, I prepared the plane for 3 and 4S. So the only thing I have to do is to change the propeller for a 8.6 and is ready for 4S. Here I've got my video transmitter. It's a 2-watt power video transmitter, and the antenna, it's a 5 lobes. Actually it's a German antenna. It's quite good, very good. It's pointing down. Actually, this is very important too. I find it. I experience several positions, and this one, it was the better position is this one. So this transmitter, I solder everything inside. I reinforce the soldering inside. So actually I think it's got really 2-watt power. True, really watt power. At the front of the plane, I've got this gimbal, homemade. As you can see, it's moving in all directions, like this. This is made of wood. This is rubber here. I've got a servo like this one. Is 1.5 kilo. This one here is around 4 kilos. So it works very nice. Here I've got a Sony CCTV 700, and here I put my SG 1000. As you can see, the servos I'm using for the gimbal, which it's homemade gimbal, are this one. This one is the servo of the base. Okay, it's a Futaba, but I don't really know if it's the really Futaba, because I buy it in eBay from a Chinese buyer, so Chinese seller, so I don't know. And this one is from the top of the gimbal. It's a Chinese too, no brand, no mark, I don't know what it is. This is the wing, and this is my servos I use in this plane. Remember, this plane has got more than 100 hours of flying FPV, and I never have a fail from this servos or from the board or everything. So still working perfectly after 100 hours of flying FPV. I've got flaps in this plane. I need it to take off. So my wing, it's glue. It's got only one part. The servos I buy it from Hobby King. They are plastic and they are reinforcing. As you can see in this plane, I've got no rudder. I don't need it. I don't make the takeoff from the ground. I just launch it by hand. So I don't need it. It's one less piece of electronic. When I made this plane, I prepared the plane for heavy conditions, heavy conditions. I already fly this plane with rain, fog, every condition, strong wind. As you can see, is holding very, very well. For the transmission, I have this command from Fly Sky, and on the back of the commander I have this booster. I buy it in eBay. It's a 2-watt booster, 2.4 gigahertz. So as you can see, I've got a small back to change the voltage of the battery to 5 volts, 12 to 5 volts. As you can see, I've got this, it's a big antenna here. It's got 12 dBs in direct line. This antenna with his here, if I've got the direct line, I reach easily 20 kilometers easily. So as you can see, it's a normal radio transmitter. In this radio, I've got here 3 switch positions. It's manual like this, and stabilization mode, autopilot mode, return home, and mission plan here. So here I've got the autopilot mission plan here, return home of course, and here stabilization. Here in this command I've got the flaps. So everything is okay. I've got no rudder, so I use the position of the rudder to move the camera from one side to the other, okay? And then here I use this here to go up and down. So actually it's comfortable, this one here, to move the camera from one side to the other. Okay, it's quite nice, works perfectly. The model I'm using is an FR Sky, as you can see here. Okay, it gives you with no booster around 1.5 km with no booster. Okay. For my video transmission, I use this receiver. It's a 5.8 gigahertz, of course, and I buy this. Well, I buy a lot of antennas to experience. So, but this one, it was, I think, it was the best antenna I have. It's very, very small. So, as you can see, everything is very, very, very simple in this system I have. This setup I made for this plane don't need ventilation. So, as you can see, there are some issues about this plane, and for example, when I launch from the ground, of course, the plane, I never do it in the stabilization mode. I always launch the plane in the manual mode to know the CG is everything is okay. Never launch in the stabilization mode. If everything is wrong, you immediately know, and then you return and land the plane safely.